or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight's late edition. Breaking tonight.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for your misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
Well, despite Sir Sadiq Khan's claims that London has no grooming gangs, breaking news on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, Scotland Yard has identified more than 4,000 grooming gang cases that may need to be re-investigated. Plus,
it turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
yeah, some breaking news on the front page of the Mail on Sunday. Class warrior Bridget's family made 900% profit on their council home and...
Well, honestly, I was speechless when I woke up to your voice. Now you told me how you've been feeling this weekend.
What the hell was that? That, of course, was the brother of David Miliband, because breaking news on the front page of The Observer, Burnham is considering roles for both David and Ed Miliband in his cabinet. And joining me this evening, former Labour MP Bill Rammell, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, and GB News contributor Paul Cox. Listen, this is quite a juicy hour of news, so if you're joining me tonight, fantastic timing. And breaking news on the front page of the Sunday Times. Drones in, destroyers out. That's Keir Starmer's defence plan, which is exactly what this man has been calling for.
One of the reasons I resigned was because I wanted to see the lessons from Ukraine about uncrewed systems, data, AI, and how you're seeing thousands of drones on the front line in Ukraine.
Right, everybody, welcome to the show. Should we just run through your headlines one more time here? The Sun. Minister in texts pest rap inappropriate messages sent to a woman MP. The Independent. Record heat wave must be a wake-up call for Britain. I think the biggest story there, because I think we all know we need more air conditioning here, I think the biggest story is coming in a second on the heat wave stuff on a different newspaper, but let's have a look at the Telegraph. Tax capital gains more, Burnham ally urges. And let's move on to the Observer, the cost of staying cool. The top left there, the two brothers, Ed and David Miliband. Are they both going to be in Burnham's cabinet? The Mail on Sunday, class warrior Bridget's family made 900% profit on their council home. That's sparking a, pulling the ladder up behind you debate. The Mirror, devolution, revolution, plan to rewire the economy by giving more power to mayors. The Sunday Times, destroyers out, drones in under new defence plan. And with me tonight, former Labour MP and Defence Minister Bill Rammell, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, and GB News contributor and comedian Paul Cox. Welcome to the show, everybody. Right, where do we start? This is quite juicy tonight. Do you know what? We haven't spoke about the brothers. The brothers Grimm. What do you all think? Let me know on gbnews.com/your say. What do you think about David Miliband, the Prime Minister that never was, returning to Cabinet? Of course, Bill, I'll start with you, because this is your party here, deciding future Prime Minister Andy Burnham looks pretty much baked in at this point, doesn't it? David Miliband, returning to Cabinet, Lord Miliband, I assume.
Well, I declare an interest. I was a strong supporter of David when he ran for the leadership in 2010. If he is going to come back in the House of Lords and play a role in government, I think that would be a good thing. The government needs more able and effective communicators and reformers, and David is certainly that. But I think a big decision that Andy Burnham's, I know, is grappling with at the moment is who to appoint as Chancellor of the Exchequer. And I think Ed Miliband has got a role to play in government, but not as Chancellor of the Exchequer. And I very much hope that it will be either Wes Streeting or Shabana Mahmood that he chooses. Yeah, the fight is gearing up, Linda, for cabinet positions, and we're seeing sort of a trend of more Lords entering cabinet here. And of course, David Cameron, the most famous recent example of a former Prime Minister brought back by Rishi Sunak to sort of try and shore up his ailing government at the time as Foreign Secretary, which went down with mixed opinions. Some people thought it was great. Some people thought it undermined Rishi Sunak because, of course, David Cameron looked like a Prime Minister and he didn't at the time.
Well, I think that particular appointment lacked a bit of credibility because the question everyone asked themselves was, when they saw what had happened, is surely there must have been someone he could have chosen from the ranks. And if he couldn't have chosen them from the ranks, why weren't people supported and encouraged to move through in terms of the parliamentary careers to get to that point? Why did he have to go backwards to David Cameron, which is not the situation here? I mean, as you know, I'm not a Labour supporter, but I do have some time for David Miliband. I think that he's a very intelligent guy. But he's in New York at the moment, isn't he? He heads up international rescue.
He does.
Would he leave that position? Because I don't know.
Well, he's been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for over a decade, from what I understand.
Well, no, I think virtually straight after the 2010 general election, so 16 years.
16 years. It's a long time to serve. And after all of that experience, he might say, well, actually, I'm quite well applied for Foreign Secretary, because, of course, International Rescue Committee is a global charity, and he served in Cabinet before. Would you welcome David Miliband coming back, or is that a threat to Andy Burnham?
Well, it shows there's a dearth of parliamentary talent because, if you've got to go to a guy that hasn't been in the party, he's been kicked out of the party essentially by his own brother 10 years ago. And by the way, at that point, that was at the very end of my sort of Labour voting years. Gasps in the audience.
Oh, Labour voting years?
Yeah, well, at that point, I was just about to turn 30. I was 30, actually. And, you start to change at that time, don't you get sensible, so...
Well, I did it 10 years before you. I left the Labour Party when I was 21, so I've got 10 years on you.
I probably would have voted for them up to that point. Gordon Brown, it started to go downhill for me. But anyway, the point is...
A sinner that repenteth, we welcome you back.
I don't think I could now.
Well, would it be Knives Out? Would it be Knives Out? Because
it'd be very interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Because what you've got is going back to Bill's point as well about Ed Miliband, his brother, I think this is a perfect opportunity to get to release the grip of Ed Miliband on this cabinet and on the leadership of this party. If I was to become leader of the Labour Party now, the first thing I'd do is release Ed Miliband, because I see him as a huge problem. I don't see him as much of a talent. I think he's someone who gets things done, which is the term you use for people who don't have much talent. You know,
when you were talking about resurrecting old, having to bring somebody in, this is exactly what they've done with Andy Burnham. He wasn't even in Parliament until how long has it been? A few days since he was officially sworn in. So this is very, very reminiscent for me of what Rishi Sunak was going through, despite the fact, of course, Rishi Sunak was in the tranche of MPs that were elected, and of course he was Chancellor. So there's a slight difference. They've actually had to go further than that. They have to bring in somebody outside, and now they might have to be doing the same for Cabinet. But that is going to, of course, be a problem for Andy Burnham in the long run, because he's going to have to let some people out of Cabinet, and that means enemies on the back benches. We're hearing also an exclusive inside The Sun is that Andy Burnham is also weighing up who should become Chancellor, and a name now being floated around is Pat McFadden, who might be seen as a safe pair of hands.
I think he is a safe pair of hands, but I don't know that he would be the right choice. I mean, as I said just now, I'm not a Labour supporter, so I don't have any inside track on this. And I know that he's a forceful, intelligent, insightful man, even though I'm not a Labour supporter. But I don't think he would be the right choice as Chancellor. I think the names you have suggested, Shabana Mahmood and Wes Streeting, are far more likely.
Although there is a track record of miserable Scots being quite effective chancellors,
actually,
which Pat can sometimes come across as.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
I think one of Andy Burnham's challenges is going to be the makeup of his cabinet, his ministerial ranks. And look, the guy's got real cut through. We've brushed past the Makerfield by-election. What that demonstrated is that he's got real reach beyond the core Labour vote. It was an astonishing result, but he's going to have to assemble a government with all the talents, and how he does that is a challenge.
This is the key, isn't it? Because no honeymoon lasts very long anymore for anybody. He's got to have to make an impact really quickly.
He's not going to have a honeymoon at all, is he?
Well, I suspect he will. I suspect he will have a honeymoon period, but it will be very, very short. And you've got to decide during that period of time, do I call a general election? Can I get through, with the current tranche of MPs that I have, a radical welfare bill reform, which he's going to have to do if he wants to release more capital to spend?
I think he'll make sure of that.
He'll need to call a general election. Actually, sometimes having such a massive majorities really, really weighs you down, because your backbenchers become really emboldened. You actually find when the Tories and Liberal Democrats were in coalition together, the Tories were very united together until Brexit hit them, of course, and they had to call another election.
I just want to ask Bill, it seemed to me, and as I said, I've got no inside track on this, that Ed Miliband was flagrantly disloyal to Keir Starmer, questioned his authority, and that was a real problem for Keir Starmer. Now, it's no good Andy Burnham, thinking, well, he was a mate, etc., etc. If someone behaves that badly in terms of, sorting out their loyalty to a leader, would you take them back on again?
Well, yeah, I think there are some questions around Ed's loyalty. I mean, look, I've made it quite clear on this programme that, I've got reservations about Ed. One of my real reservations is that in order to become leader of the Labour Party, he trashed the record of the most successful Labour government we've ever had in this country.
It didn't work out very well for him in the end, did it?
Absolutely. But look, I think, to comment on the positive side, he is an effective cabinet minister. Whatever you think about the net zero position, he's driven it very strongly. My real reservation there is he doesn't do enough to take people with him and, persuade people rather than imposing a direction. And I think that would be a real challenge were he to become Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Let's stick on the theme of existing ministers. I don't think this is very good news for one of them, a man who I've actually spoken to on breakfast a few times here. This is Cabinet Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds, who has been, he's had a slap on the wrist over texts, inappropriate messages sent to another female MP. The Paymaster General, Nick Thomas-Symonds, sent text messages to a female MP. He was called in to the government's ethics team and reminded of his ministerial responsibilities after the allegation surfaced. He's married and is a close ally of the Prime Minister, but Sir Keir Starmer's sleazebuster, they're calling it here, found that there were no grounds for a formal investigation and no official reprimand was given.
Yeah, but the cloud is still hanging over his head. And what I don't understand about MPs, many MPs from all of the parties, is they fail to understand that these messages should not be sent on WhatsApp. It's like they become crazed. They get onto WhatsApp and they think, oh, end-to-end encrypted, I can say what I want. They get into some kind of sleazy conversation and they think, because what they all do now, sorry, about to sneeze, but what they all do now is they have the dying messages.
Yeah, the disappearing messages turned off.
Disappearing messages turned off. Can I say, guys, you can Photoshop a text message as soon as it comes in, and there's a facility where you can archive it. So the old disappearing messages doesn't work.
No, that can certainly be the case. I mean, look, nothing's come of this, but does it? I mean, this is not. I'm not just criticising Labour here, Paul, because we saw this a lot with the last Tory government as well. Sleaze. We've seen it throughout the political, the political, you know,
it's ridiculous.
Last successive governments, successive political classes embroiled in sleaze. Do they? How do we get to this point? Is it the power? Or is it? What is it, Paul? What do you think it is?
Well, he might be a Labour MP, but he's still a human being. So there
are too harsh.
No, I'm not. So I don't want to say we're being too harsh, because this is a sort of soft form of sexual harassment that women have to suffer all the time.
Yeah, but it's
not
a high
from me,
form of stupidity, isn't it?
But at the same time, men and women are different. They are, and it's controversial to say so now. but occasionally men get the wrong idea. Occasionally women don't get the right idea.
Stop digging, Paul. Stop digging.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. But
spit it out, mate.
But what I will say is I hate the idea that I'm going to pile on this guy for potentially doing something a little bit naughty for the grace of God, other men might have done.
This is the problem. This is the problem, right? What is deemed an inappropriate message to one person may be different to another.
Oh, don't try that. One man's meat is another man's poison line with me.
Hang on. Hear me out. Because listen, I do feel like everyone's very sensitive now. Everyone is very sensitive, and and I'm not saying that I haven't seen these messages, right? So I don't know how bad or not bad they are. But Bill, do we have such high standards now? Is where I'm getting to, that actually nobody will ever want to be an MP, because anything they might have said 20, 30 years ago, or a text that's misinterpreted, can just destroy your career.
Yeah,
maybe. But I mean, look, in defence of Nick Thomas Simmons, you know, the ethics team have looked at this and effectively said there's no case to answer.
Yes.
However, I agree with Linda. I mean, you know, why MPs put things on WhatsApp messages or text messages that's then recordable is beyond me. There are so many risks involved.
Yeah.
Having said that, you know, in terms of what we expect of politicians, in terms of personal misconduct, if this is it, and I don't think the evidence suggests it is, but if it is, the rate is no higher amongst MPs than any other walk of life.
Yeah.
No, but their behaviour is supposed to be higher than other walks of life, isn't it? They're supposed to be held to a different standard because they are our leaders.
But can I just say, I wish I'd just agreed with Linda. I think if I had my time again, I'd say, like Bill did, I agree with Linda, and would have just moved on.
She's the Nick Clegg of the panel. I agree with Nick. I agree with Nick. I agree with Linda. I agree with Linda too. Just to wrap that one up. Look, let's just briefly talk about the front page of the Mail. We'll get more into this later on in the show. But Kemi Badenoch, of course, you'll remember throughout the week in PMQs this week on Wednesday, called the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson a spiteful class warrior. Well, the front page of the Mail here on Sunday says, class warrior Bridget's family made 900% profit on council home. I guess the debate is, look, this is obviously she's not made this money on it, but the debate is, do Labour MPs have a tendency to want to pull the ladder up behind them? Same for privately educated Labour MPs as well, when this VAT increase on private schools. There's a tendency for people to go, well, it's very hypocritical or very easy for you to say that because you benefited, now no one else is going to. Bill, what do you think?
Well, I don't think this article is about that at all. And actually, Bridget Phillipson, through her responsibilities as Education Secretary, is trying to drive up standards and is trying to raise aspiration for kids across the board. You know, I think, and I've not been able to read it, but I think this story says someone in her family sold a council house at a profit, as do millions of people in this country. And in terms of the debate around, what Kemi Badenoch said this week, and I'm not going to say it was outrageous for her to say what she did. However, it's just a tonal point. I think back to when Margaret Thatcher stood down, when Tony Blair stood down, when David Cameron stood down. At the first Prime Minister's question after each of those events, there's a respect that the person isn't going because they want to go, but there's, they've given good service and there's a respect. And she completely lost that point of view. And I think it speaks more broadly to the very divided state of politics we've got in this country today.
Point of order, comrade. I would say that the people that you mentioned deserve the respect, and perhaps that Keir Starmer, and I'm being facetious for comedic effect, perhaps didn't, and I wouldn't put him in the same echelon. Look, there is an argument, we talked about this during the break, that it's not parliamentary to talk that way. And the language of Parliament now is becoming more and more divisive. But I think the problems we're facing in the UK now are so tough, so strong, so divisive that we want to see that represented in Parliament. And I think Kemi Badenoch is probably the first person to have done it quite eloquently.
OK, look,
I would say one thing very, very quickly. I've heard that Bridget Phillipson is having T-shirts printed with Class Warrior on the front.
Oh, there you go, see, monetising it.
There you go. That's why I'm meant to make money out of it, isn't it? There you go. A Cabinet Office spokesperson said this: the proprietary and ethics team looked into an exchange of messages with a single individual. No evidence of improper behaviour was found and no further action was taken. An ally of Nick Thomas Simmons said this: it is the right thing that the proper process was followed, as we should never dismiss any concerns, no matter the origin of the circumstances. And he was cleared. Anyone who knows Nick, anyone who knows who's worked with him, and maintains a high professional standard, and it deeply matters to him. All right. Brand new Great British giveaway for you now. You can get a 60 grand in tax-free cash, and get this, get a real gold bar worth over 5 grand as well. That's nice, isn't it? That's gold you can keep or give to a loved one, maybe me, just think of me. Here's all the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our golden summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, I'll bring you some more on that breaking news of what's going on in Iran. Is that ceasefire over before it started? As I said, it would be a million times. Perhaps I'm wrong, perhaps I'm right. We'll find out. And the Sunday Times is saying destroyers are out and drones are in under the new defence plan. Is this the right strategy to keep Britain safe? That's coming up next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB loyalty points are here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on Your Say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB loyalty points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
OK, some breaking news to bring you from the Middle East. The United States military has now confirmed that it's carried out strikes on Iran tonight. It's targeting Iranian military surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defence sites, drone storage facilities and mine layer capabilities. US Central Command says the latest wave of strikes is in response to a drone attack on a cargo ship on Thursday. We'll try and bring you some footage of those strikes as and when we get them. But it does bring into question, doesn't it, whether or not there is going to be a long-standing ceasefire here. I will very briefly ask my panel on this, as I'd like to get back onto British news. But Bill, I have said on this panel a million times this ceasefire is not going to hold, that there's too many variables, that the Iranian regime is broken down so severely that you could just get a whole unit just doing stupid stuff, breaking up the ceasefire. You've got Israel, you've got the Houthis, you've got Hamas, you've got Hezbollah. So many things that need to hold this ceasefire together. Does it seem plausible that it will ever work?
My gut instinct is it will be kind of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and it will broadly hold, and something will come out of the 60-day talks that Trump will be able to claim we've got a result. The reality is this has been one of the most atrocious foreign policy blunders I've ever known in my lifetime. It's imperiled the world economy, and Trump, frankly, has strengthened the hardliners within the Iranian regime, and he's given proof of concept that the Iranians can hold the world economy to ransom through the Straits of Hormuz. Before this conflict, it was always theoretical. It's now a reality.
That's absolutely true. And also, Israel has become emboldened. And now they're pushing forward all the time, and no one seems to be able to get on top of that situation. Like you, I think that some kind of ceasefire will hold, but it will be a tinderbox for a very, very long time now. And it's interesting what you said there, Alex, that, you want to get back to British news, but in a sense, this is British news because anything that happens in the Straits of Hormuz, as we now see conclusively, affects us.
Absolutely.
Our food prices, our price at the petrol pumps, our cost of living. And we will see, because there's a lag, isn't there? We will see the effects of what has gone on in the Straits of Hormuz in previous months coming into effect in the coming weeks.
Just before I come to you on this, Paul, just a reminder, Donald Trump did post something on Truth Social earlier on today, saying the Islamic Republic of Iran shot at least 4 one-way attack drones at ships traversing the Strait of Hormuz. One of the drones solidly hit the upper deck of a large and very expensive cargo-carrying ship. Damage was done, but the ship was able to proceed on its way. We knocked down 3 other drones. Obviously, this is a foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. Trump has threatened many times he will continue the bombing if this doesn't end. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I just want to bring the focus back slightly to the people of Iran on the basis that you and I both know people that were actually very glad that somebody like Donald Trump, just happened to be Donald Trump, in fact, was looking to topple that regime because they would love nothing more than their country to be returned to a memory that they have of Iran. And he gave hope, which is a dangerous thing to give. He gave hope in January and February. And he's never really fulfilled that promise. I think, just to push back slightly on what Bill said, there are things that have happened, like their Navy's been destroyed, their Air Force has been destroyed. There's a number of things that's been destroyed. However, it's very difficult to argue against the fact that they have been emboldened and that there's no clear winner. Other than perhaps the regime.
Well, this brings us nicely onto the front page of the Sunday Times, doesn't it? Because they are reporting that destroyers will be out and drones will be in under this new defence plan. So apparently Burnham signs off deal that won't replace ageing fleet and diverts cash into new tech. Broadly supportive of this bill?
Yeah, I am. And I made the point earlier that, look, I'll be absolutely frank. I was Minister of State for the Armed Forces. I ended up with the absolutely highest regard for the guys on the front line, a much lower level of regard for the senior military who fight for their own pet projects. They don't recognise that the world has changed and you need different kinds of defence system, and they are absolutely bloody atrocious at procurement, where they waste tens of billions of pounds at the taxpayers' expense. And I'm not in favour. I am in favour of increased defence spending, but not a blank cheque for the military, because they don't spend the money well.
Yeah, money for up to 8 Type 83 destroyers and 5 Type 32 frigates will no longer appear in the Defence Investment Plan, which the outgoing Prime Minister is expected to unveil as early as Tuesday as he seeks to shore up his legacy by shaping the future of Britain's military. Drones and autonomous vehicles will be prioritised instead. Linda, look, we've all seen the scenes in Ukraine and the drone warfare played out there, which is terrifying to listen to and to watch. It seems that drones are the future, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and certainly Zelensky has really led the way in perfecting these very high-caliber drones, which I think he's even sent some of them to America, hasn't he? Because he is the master architect of the drone warfare plan. But to link back slightly to what we've been saying about the Strait of Hormuz as well, what we do see from that conflict is the rise of asymmetric warfare. And we have to accept now that old-style warfare is matched by asymmetric warfare, which can be fought in a number of different ways. So drones are very important, and of course you can't ignore cyber warfare, and that's really critical, because why do we think those Russian vessels are going up and down the English Channel mapping our undersea cables? That's for one reason and one reason only. So this is a really interesting story, and the reason I think so is because it means that we pay attention to what's going on around us. It's not enough to say, Russia, foreign policy, we don't need to worry about that. We only need to worry about domestic issues. We need to pay attention to what the Russians are doing.
Of course, yeah, and look, this is representative of modern warfare. In an ideal world, you'd have destroyers and drones, but this isn't an ideal world. If you had to choose between the two, you've got to choose drones. War is now being fought in the air with drones and fighter planes. It's not being fought by navies in the same way it was. Times have moved on very quickly, by the way. When Bill was minister, then that would have been a very, Bill was probably never discussing drones. I was working in defence at that point. We weren't talking about drones. Yeah. Drones didn't exist, for people just to play with, let alone for warfare. And the other thing, of course, is hybrid warfare, which we do see Russia do across Europe, which is infiltrating through migration. People forget that actual mass migration is also a type of hybrid warfare. Yeah. Alongside cyber attacks, Russia will put illegal immigration through Belarus into the Baltics, into the Balkans, and he will infiltrate those countries from within. There's a different type of war going on, and that type of war is being fought now for 10, 20 years, and it's happening in the UK too.
Yeah, look, I think it's a very fair point, and when you see a 500 or even £5,000 drone taking out a ship or a plane worth millions of pounds, you start to question, right, do we need to invest more in that technology, because that's what we're going to have to fight in the future. So perhaps actually in the long run that is the right decision, but I think we do need a massive uplift in our defence budget if we're going to compete, and AI is a huge part of that. Trust me, we've got some friends in the industry tell me some terrifying things. Keep you up at night, really would. Right, coming up next, we're going to talk about this reopening of 4,000 grooming gang cases, because it is shocking that the Mayor of London, of course, previously has said, or at least led us to believe, that they didn't perhaps exist the same way they do around the other parts of the country. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about whether we're ready for yet another heat wave that's supposedly on its way as early as the second week of July. That's coming up next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The very hot weather in Western Europe pushes eastwards through this weekend. Sunny and warm for many other areas of Europe throughout this weekend. Highs of 28 degrees in Tenerife on Sunday. There's a risk of heavy rain and thunderstorms moving up across parts of Spain as well as France. Over the Alps as well, a risk of thundery downpours, and it will turn very hot across parts of Italy in particular through Sunday. But here's your outlook. It remains very sunny for many areas. Temperatures in the low to high 30s. Have a good day.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there, and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's been another hot day for parts of the UK today, but it is going to turn a little bit fresher as we go through the weekend. It is going to be quite muggy for places overnight as well. We do want to keep a very close eye on this little occlusion as it does move its way across the southeast of the UK this evening, as it could bring some pretty heavy thunderstorms at times, and there could be a mix of some hail in there as well. But they will move through rather quickly, and we still have an amber heat warning for parts of the southeast through the overnight period. It's still going to be muggy. We've still got quite a few places around 20 degrees for this part of the world. But elsewhere, temperatures are slowly starting to come down as this band of rain begins to move into the west and slowly starts to move its way eastwards through the nighttime period. Now, as we wake up on the morning of Sunday, again, it will be a warm start across the southeast, but behind this band, like I said, it will be a lot fresher. A bright start for Northern Ireland, actually, and a few more showers across Scotland. One or two of these could be heavy, again, with the mix of some hail in there, but it's only going to be isolated. I'm not expecting them to be as thundery as they were a couple of days ago. But as we go through the day, this band of rain will slowly start to peter out. The rain does become a lot more isolated, and it does turn into a band of cloud. But that cloud will lift and it will start to break up through the day. So Sunday is actually a normal, typical day for summer, really. Temperatures just above average for the time of year, but compare that to the temperatures that we have seen over the last few days, it will feel a lot more comfortable. Monday, again, a nice sunny day. Plenty of bright sunshine across England and Wales. A few showers across Scotland here. That sunshine may turn a little bit hazy through the afternoon, but as we go through the week, there will be some patchy cloud, but some sunshine and temperatures back where they should be.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Grooming gang cases. Of course, this comes off the back of Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, having multiple exchanges over the years with different people in the Greater London Authority, the committee there, the elected committee that challenges the mayor and his record. And you've seen that famous example with Susan Hall time and time again, haven't you? But there were ones predating that as well. And I think many people will be saying, well, duh, of course there were grooming gang cases in London, Paul.
Yes, there are grooming gang. That's a difficult sentence, isn't it?
Grooming gang cases.
There are in London. Of course there are in London. And it's only for political reasons you would say that there wasn't. And at some point, I've used the word amnesty once this evening. When I use it again, we need amnesty of political opinions when it comes to these huge subjects. I don't care if Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, is the Labour MP, a Labour Mayor of London who happens to be a Pakistani Muslim. It shouldn't make any difference to whether he can talk about this problem honestly or not. And, it's a difficult thing to point at because, like I said earlier, it's great obfuscation. He's great weaseling his way out of stuff. But I'm afraid he's fell very short on this. And actually, it would have been very easy for someone like Sadiq Khan to say, I'm sure we do have this problem, and the sooner we get to the bottom of it, the better, and stop it. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do, because any criticism that comes after that, he can at least say, well, I'm working on it. When he obfuscates, and I'm using the word obfuscate to try and not get in trouble, essentially, because I think there's a slight detachment between the truth and Sadiq Khan at times. But when he does that, all he's doing is making the problem worse. Yeah. And if anything, he is enabling these grooming gangs to continue, which is much, much worse.
Let's just play the clip of Sadiq Khan and Susan Hall debating this again.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
Avoiding a misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
Linda?
It's so bad, I can hardly articulate how bad it is. I mean, can you define the problem? Do you know what? It's just so insulting to everyone. We know what the problem is, we know where it is, and we know it's extensive. But to say to Susan Hall, can you, when she asks about it, can you define the problem?
He wants her to say Pakistani rape gangs or something of that ilk, because then what he can do is use the race card, use the bigot card, use any of the cards that I'm afraid
but we can all see that. We can all see that.
But this is the problem. You shouldn't be able to do that. And this is why there's endless anecdotes of fathers, brothers, sisters, mothers coming forward and being told you can't say that. And in response, there's just been more rape. So yes, you can say it and you must.
Bill, do you think Sadiq Khan's handling or language around this has enabled grooming gangs?
No, I wouldn't say that, but I do think he's mishandled this situation. Look, you know, I said earlier, the outcome, the fact that 4,000 cases are being reopened, was the explicit objective of the government to reinvestigate cases. Remember the J review that came forward with a series of recommendations. A key one was reopen the cases. And I remember Yvette Cooper, who was then Home Secretary, saying this is what we intend to do. And it's very welcome that 4,000 cases are being reopened. In respect of Sadiq Khan, an area where I disagree with you, Paul, I don't think his behaviour is driven by the fact that he's a Pakistani Muslim. I think what he was trying to do, wrongly, was being too clever by half when he was responding to Susan Hall.
Why?
I think he thought he was engaged in political theatre. And, you know, he was going to pin her down in a way that she was attempting to pin him down. And I think he should have recognised and realised that it was much more important than that. I also think, and you said this earlier, Paul, clearly what he said was driven by briefings he was given by the Metropolitan Police. And I don't know how briefings from the Met didn't say, look, the government is driving to reopen these cases and an awful lot of them are going to be in London.
Part of the problem with this is the way in which government is obsessed with specific language, and perhaps even the Metropolitan Police and police in general, specific language to describe something. That's where this mishandling of the language and the obfuscation, as we might call it, has come from, because they've said, well, what defines a grooming gang? Is it the same thing that's happened in Bradford, when actually I think most people would define a grooming gang as men generally grooming young girls for sex. The different terminology of this and the specific ways that this has crossed county lines, which is part of that definition, has allowed this conversation around whether or not there are indeed grooming gangs in London to take place. And I think that is where this clever language, we might call it, from Sadiq Khan might have played a role in it.
Well, but also, you know, I mean, it's not very fashionable to say something positive about Keir Starmer at the moment, but go back to his record as Director of Public Prosecutions, and he was instrumental in changing the grounds for prosecution over grooming gangs, and he was the first person to actually say too many bodies have shied away from calling out the ethnicity of the people perpetrating these crimes.
Well, a spokesman for Sir Sadiq strongly rejected any suggestion that he had sought to cover up issues related to child exploitation in the capital, saying the mayor welcomed the reinvestigation of cases and had been clear we must leave no stone unturned. They said any individuals or grooming gangs exploiting children for sex are utterly abhorrent, and the mayor wants justice for every single victim of these horrific crimes. They also said the Met and this independent investigation must follow the evidence where it leads, and the mayor will continue to support and hold the Met to account to ensure it does everything possible to tackle child sexual exploitation in London, including grooming gangs. Deputy Assistant Commissioner Kevin Southworth of Metropolitan Police said this: we're fully committed to engaging with the National Inquiry and the Operation Beacon Port review into past cases led by the National Police Chiefs Council. We've identified those previously closed cases that meet the criteria to be considered part of Operation Beacon Port. If it is determined that any require further investigation, we will, of course, take that work forward to deliver justice for the victim survivors involved. We would also urge anyone who is or is still experiencing abuse of any kind to come forward. You will be listened to and supported. All right, look, coming up on the front page of The Independent, another heat wave, worse than this one, is on its way. Trust me, you're not going to want to you're not going to like the temperature I'm about to tell you, so stay tuned, because if you're already hot, it's going to get hotter.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
And it's Father's Day. I don't know if my dad's up yet. If you are, happy Father's Day.
He's already texted.
Is he?
He's tuning in.
Mr. Reaper, good morning to you.
Sunday, well, speaking of Sunday lunches, he'll be having a roast pork joint later, courtesy of myself.
Good.
Cards and gifts are a big part of the day, of course, but it's also important to remember that there is more to it than that.
Yeah, because it's not just about one day, is it? Actually, it's like, what do dads do? And healthy fathers, a healthy sort of father-son, father-daughter relationship, builds strong families, builds strong communities, and helps build a strong country, actually.
Well, that is why mentoring the next generation matters more than ever. So take a little extra time today, make sure you do, to appreciate not just the fathers or the grandfathers or the uncles out there, but any strong father figure that you may have.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast, 25 minutes past 6. And breaking news this morning, the TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson has revealed that he's been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer in an emotional video.
In the scenes, he's telling his co-stars Caleb Cooper and Charlie Ireland, his land agent and his farm manager, and they're both devastated, as you can imagine. You know, it's a huge bombshell to drop on them. He's only 66. He's made no secrets that he's maybe not lived the healthiest lifestyle. After the heart problems, he bemoans having to eat Greek yogurt and kale and whatnot. But following this, I think he's going to have a complete lifestyle overhaul even further, and just fingers crossed the treatment proves effective.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Hello there, Emily and Tom. Yes, some breaking news in the last few moments from Kensington Palace regarding our future king, Prince George of Wales, the oldest son of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The short statement from Kensington Palace reads, Kensington Palace can confirm that Prince George will attend Eton College in September. That news just coming in from the royal household in the last few moments. This clearly is, well, perhaps not surprising news for those in royal circles. Eton College, the most prestigious school, arguably in the country, educating 20 prime ministers, and of course Prince George's own father and uncle, Prince William and Prince Harry, as well as 2 Dukes of Gloucester, the Duke of Kent and Prince Michael of Kent as well. So that confirmation just coming in from Kensington Palace. £63,000 a year it costs to send a child to Eton College.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back, everybody. How are you feeling in this heat? I think it's sent everyone delirious. I really do, because I can't function. I love beautiful weather, right? But I'm a proper British person. Anything above 25 degrees, I'm not doing anything. Right? That's that for me. I know a lot of you are going to go, "Oh, Alex, stop being so woke and boring," but I just can't function. I can't. But you know, record heat wave. This is the Independent here, so it must be a wake-up call for Britain. They're, of course, I think, taking this in a slight climate, a climate crisis sort of thing. But I think what most of us really want to talk about is how our country is coping with this. I just saw a post on X, which I've lost now, unfortunately, but it showed the list of the temperatures on the tube here. The central line got to 40 degrees, well, 39.7 degrees. You cannot get on that line. That can kill you, that temperature, when you're in that confined environment. And to me, Bill, it just shows that we're just so far behind, because we're seeing these summers more regularly, these hot temperatures.
Well, the first point is it demonstrates climate change is real. And, a lot of people on this channel who I debate with don't think climate change is real, and I think we're all experiencing that reality. I declare an interest. We bought an air conditioning unit last week.
Good for you.
And it has made life immeasurably better. And a lot of people will say that, well, that's bad for the environment. It's not if the energy is supplied through renewables, and that's why we need to keep on with the drive to increase renewables. It is going to change the way we live our lives and the way that we work and the way that we travel, although let's not overstate it. It's for a limited period of the year. But I do think as well, one of the challenges that we've got is humidity. I lived and worked for 18 months in Iraqi Kurdistan, and it got to 50 degrees, but it was a dry heat. Yeah. What we have in this country, in many senses, is much worse because it's humid.
Yeah, that's so true.
I lived in Hong Kong for 5 years, and it's very humid there.
Yeah, it is.
Every day's a bad hair day, I can tell you. Maybe you don't worry about that, but I do.
That's disableist.
But I think that you're right. This can only happen in a certain number of months every year, but we are going in that direction towards this kind of climate. And you do have to adapt. In Hong Kong, you simply wouldn't think of trying to survive without air conditioning. Everything is air conditioned. The supermarkets, the shopping malls, the walkways between the supermarkets. And they all have those little fountains where they drill the holes into the pavement and they shoot up the water and you walk through them. And so they do lots and lots of things to keep you cool. And that's what we need to be doing here.
Paul, what do you do to stay cool?
Well, I lived on Hayling Island for 6 months, so much like Bill and Linda, I've travelled significantly, and I didn't notice any difference. To stay cool, I've just
got the joke.
I stayed still, is what I did. This week, I became incredibly inactive.
Yeah,
the times I would normally play golf this week, I didn't. Me and my mate Colin, who I played golf with, interestingly, on Hayling Island, he's not watching this, he has no idea I do this for a living. He gets very confused when people stop me on the golf course and say, good to see you last night, Paul. He's like, well, where were you, mate? Lidl. Yeah. He doesn't know, which is why I love him to bits. But we went out, I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with every intention of playing 18 holes. We played 9, and it was tough.
Awful.
It was really tough.
I have to say, I love the summer, I love beautiful weather, but this has been too much for me, and it just drains all your energy out. And like most of us, I just think if we could just get new builds to have AC, we can't even allow that under net zero. Just this whole madness. I saw someone tweet today that air conditioning is fascist. Anyway, there you go.
I'll tell you one other thing, though.
Go on, very, very briefly.
We talk a lot about Sadiq Khan. London Underground,
yes.
Some of the trains have got air conditioning.
Yes. Some haven't.
That's right. And at these kind of temperatures, it's intolerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, very, very quickly, I'll try and run you through these front pages here. The Sun, Minister in text pest rap, inappropriate messages sent to woman. The Observer, the cost of staying cool. The Mail on Sunday, class warrior Bridget's family made 900% profit on council home. The Telegraph, tax capital gains more. Burnham ally urges. Look, that's all we've got time for. I'll be back here tomorrow. But up next is The Late Show Live, hosted by Will Kingston with Ben Leo live from New York.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's been another hot day for parts of the UK today, but it is going to turn a little bit fresher as we go through the weekend. It is going to be quite muggy for places overnight as well. We do want to keep a very close eye on this little occlusion as it does move its way across the southeast of the UK this evening, as it could bring some pretty heavy thunderstorms at times, and there could be a mix of some hail in there as well. But they will move through rather quickly, and we still have an amber heat warning for parts of the southeast through the overnight period. Still going to be muggy. We've still got quite a few places around 20 degrees for this part of the world. But elsewhere, temperatures are slowly starting to come down as this band of rain begins to move into the west and slowly starts to move its way eastwards through the nighttime period. Now, as we wake up on the morning of Sunday, again, it will be a warm start across the southeast, but behind this band, like I said, it will be a lot fresher. A bright start for Northern Ireland, actually, and a few more showers across Scotland. 1 or 2 of these could be heavy, again, with the mix of some hail in there, but it's only going to be isolated. We're not expecting them to be as thundery as they were a couple of days ago. But as we go through the day, this band of rain will slowly start to peter out. The rain does become a lot more isolated and it does turn into a band of cloud. But that cloud will lift and it will start to break up through the day. So Sunday is actually a normal typical day for summer, really. Temperatures just above average for the time of year. But compare that to the temperatures that we have seen over the last few days, it will feel a lot more comfortable. Monday, again, a nice sunny day, plenty of bright sunshine across England and Wales, a few showers across Scotland here. That sunshine may turn a little bit hazy through the afternoon, but as we go through the week, there will be some patchy cloud, but some sunshine and temperatures back where they should be.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic